Do you know what time it is? Do you know how many days left you have this year to fundraise? And you know what? It's time to get a little help from your friends. Your friends, your board of directors, you need them now. You probably have board members that are really connected to your mission and are in there all the time helping you with your projects. And of course, they will be perfectly wonderful to help you now. And of course, you're going to have some of your board members that are reticent about this year-end project. But when I give you the statistics so that you can give these statistics to them, they will realize how important they are and how much you need their help right now. Well, as you might know now, after 50 days of daily tips for your fundraising success, it's Joy Olson of Blockbuster Fundraising. This is all about making those year-end calls, and you need to get the help from your friends, your board friends, to make those calls. I got these tips from a wonderful Network for Good fundraising webinar, and I'm going to give you the link to Network for Good and their resource page, because as fundraisers, you do not want to miss any of their webinars now. They are so good and they're on it. We're talking about two kinds of donor calls today. The thank you call and the call to ask. In other words, the call that says, we hope you'll think of us during this year-end giving period. And why are these calls so important? Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to count the ways and you are going to be amazed. You're going to be amazed because if your donors got a thank you call from a board member within 24 hours of their gift, they would give 39% more the rest of the year. And there would be a 70% retention rate. And after 14 months after this phone call from the board, their gift would be 42% larger. Isn't that stunning? Think about it. It's important to mention that the sources on this is a donor survey from Burk, 2012. And in this survey, they also point out the retention rate, and that's something we struggle with. If your donor gets a thank you call, you've got a 25% increase in retention. If your staff calls, it only increases the retention rate by 10%. You gotta let your board know how important they are, and you gotta get them on the phone. Well, you certainly can't ask your friends for help, your board members, without a thank you call script. And of course, that script will include the donor's name and number, a brief giving history, known interests, whether they have little dogs, whether they love little kids, whether they love cats, anything that you know about their interests, a sample discovery question to ask, which I'll give you some of those, and a win that the donor made possible, their last gift, the great impact of their last gift. 4 things. If this were a thank you call and not an ask call, perhaps your questions would be, do you have any feedback for us? Is there any way we can make your experience more positive? How can we get you more involved? May I invite you to our next event? These are great thank you script questions. You want to let your board members understand that this is a script to get to know your donor. And what do you want to know? What should you know about your donor? Well, pretend I'm your donor. Why I made my first gift to you. And what I'm most passionate about. And what are my other philanthropic interests and priorities? And why does your cause matter to me? And what's the best gift I ever gave that made me feel wonderful? And what projects are most appealing to me and why? What do you know about me? This should form your script. Here's another list of donors must know that could form your script. Who and what influences their giving? What aspects interest them most? How might else may they give? How do they want to give? What communications do they want? What, if any, services do they need? What are their expectations of your organization? What inspired their first gift? And who are they? Must knows about your donor. And last but not least on this vision quest to know about your donors from your donor calls, here are 5 biggies. What connected you to us? What made you decide to become a donor? How could we encourage others to give to us? How could we make you feel more special and appreciated? And what things would make people feel more special and appreciated? Great questions. Great discovery questions. The tip for today, the daily tip for today on this 50th day is get a little help from your friends. Get your board to help you make calls. Sometimes it's fun to all get together at your organization and if you have the room. Other times, board members like to make calls from their home in their own time. But definitely set up a timeline and definitely give them a script and definitely give them information about the donors they're going to be calling. And one last biggie tip from me to you is go to the Network for Good, the nonprofit blog, their resources page. I cannot tell you how for the last 7-8 years it has made such a difference to me. And every year I've added something new to my year-end fundraising thanks to all their great advice. See you tomorrow. This is Joy Olson of Blockbuster Fundraising saying thanks for having been here on our countdown to your fabulous Blockbuster Fundraising 2016 success. Bye-bye.